Hey all, it's me Hack, and in this video I will talk about enumerating IAM permission in GCP without getting detected. So let's get started, right? Before that, welcome to this whole video or the presentation. Some brief introduction about me, right? I go by the name Hack on the Internet, currently in final year of high school. I do security research work on my free time. I also make cloud security related lab for a company and do part-time pen test work for a different place. Enough about me. I'm not that important, so let's jump into the video itself. Table of content. The first section is introductions. Over here, we will talk about some basic things which we need to know to perform this attack or this whole technique at a very high level. The second section is cloud logging. Over here, we will talk what the heck is cloud logging and why do we need it, or how it's related to the whole our attack or this whole technique. The second Oh shit. The third section is literally called the attack. I will talk about the whole attack in detail, like how this happens, how we can perform it, a practical demonstration, and a lab, right? And we will also talk about the whole scene with not getting detected, right? Alrighty, so let's start with the very first section, which is introduction. So we will talk about how we can abuse a very legitimate API endpoint in GCP to brute force our IAM permission in Google Cloud without needing any special permission. We will also talk about how bad this can go, right? So over here we'll talk about techniques, how we can abuse it, and how the whole scene with evading, or like not evading will be a wrong word, not being detected, right? So for that part we have to jump into the second section, which is cloud logging. So you may be wondering, like, what the heck is cloud logging? Well, as the name suggests, like literally cloud logging, it basically logs every action which you perform in GCP. Think cloud logging as a big data collector like Google. It will basically like track every action which you perform in GCP, and it will keep the whole information at one place where you can go and analyze it, dig deeper, like see what what were the commands performed by a user in your GCP project, right? So let's say, for example, let's say like you go and perform or create a compute instance in GCP. It will be logged in Google Cloud. It will be logged into the whole like cloud logging thing, the logs of Google Cloud. um, if you go and change any permission, it will be logged. If you go and create a new service account, it will be logged. Basically any action which you perform in GCP is basically like stored over here, right? Enough about cloud logging. Right now let's talk about how it's related to our attack, or the whole technique, right? For that we probably have to go more deeper into the video, but a small teaser would be that the whole attack which we're gonna perform will be like very noisy, or it is supposed to be very noisy, but in our case there's literally nothing, or there will be zero traces in cloud log. So yeah, man, I mean, just tune in, right? We will do a quick practical demonstration. It will be like about 2 to 3 minutes long. Over here we will talk about some basic things about cloud logging, so let's jump in, right? Alright everyone, so I have logged into my Google Cloud, and over here, like on the search bar, you can search for cloud logging and just select the first option, which is logging. So basically this is how cloud logging looks like, right? This is Log Explorer. So basically anything which we do in GCP, we can view it over here. Right now I don't have anything over here for now, but we will go and create some data real quick. So over here I can go to instance, and let's say I can try to create an I can try to create an instance, and it will be logged into the whole like cloud logging. So it will appear in cloud logging, I should say. Okay. Well, my page crashed for some reason. Well, I will reload it. Okay, now I will make some adjustment, right? Small tweaks over here. I will change the machine type to E2 micro, and yeah, we should be good to go. I mean, technically, you don't even have to do this. Then the other thing which you can do is like you can go for this video. I will go and create one more um service, which is a bucket up here. So let me create that. YT or cloud logging 1322 whatever, right? Continue. I will just click on create for now. Yeah, confirm. Now let me go over here. Let's see if our machine has been created. Okay, it has been created. Now we will search for cloud logging once again, mates. Um, and we should see something over here. See, right? We can see a user created a storage bucket over here. I can see someone like me. I have created a instance. It appears over here. So basically, like you will get whatever you do like in GCP will appear here. You can download it in CSV format. You can export the entire database and you can analyze on some other platform if you want to. Over here, like, and there's also a field where you can enter queries, right? So you can search or filter data um, on multiple parameters like date or which service they have accessed, right? So over here, like GCP by default creates like categories for us. So for example, if I click on VM instance, it will show all the logs related to compute engine or compute VM, right? If I go back and over here, there's another subcategory, another category called GCS buckets, which is Google Cloud Storage Bucket. It's like AWS S3 equivalent, right? If I click over here, it will show logs related to like storage, Google Cloud Storage, right? It will appear here. It will appear over here. So it will have the principal name, the command which I executed, which is storage bucket create, the IP from which the IP from which the specific command was ran, yada yada yada, right? You get the deal. So yeah, man. I mean, this was a basic high level intro, like what cloud logging is. By the way, like cloud logging itself is a pretty massive topic, right? It will I can make a whole separate course on this, so I don't want to do that, and I definitely don't want to bore you guys. So yeah, this is it for cloud logging. Okay, so this is on the last section, which is the attack, right? Cool things, right? By the way, I just want to mention this is probably fifth retake, so I'm not gonna take any new retake. I will make sure it's so in the same video or in the same clip, right? So basically, like that tag, it's quite funny. It's a quite funny attack. So basically, in our case, what we will do is we will use or abuse a very legitimate API endpoint called testIAMPermission. Basically, it allows you to check what kind of permission your current service account has without needing any extra roles or permission. By the way, in GCP, you need a specific role class permission to list your current role. However, this is not a case with this specific endpoint. If you go and check out the official documentation of Google, they clearly state that you don't need any permission to use this specific endpoint called testIAMPermission. So us as an attacker or hackers, what we can do is we can basically make a word list of entire permission mentioned of entire permission in Google Cloud, and we can basically brute force against this specific endpoint, right? But you may be wondering, like, why Google has this endpoint? Well, it was initially created for a very legitimate reason, right? So let's say if there's an application, right? There's a third party application, and and what they're gonna do is they will use this specific endpoint to check whether you have a permission for X thing or not, right? uh, how much I know, this specific endpoint was made for that use case. But hey, man, we are hackers, right? We're gonna abuse it. Doesn't We don't care, right? So what we will do is, us as an attacker, we will make a big word list of entire permission in Google Cloud, and we will brute force against this specific endpoint. And yeah, we will try to find out what kind of permission our current service account has, right? That's one part of this attack. The second part is, like, a lot of people at this point will be going crazy by hearing the whole brute forcing, right? um just few things about brute forcing. As mentioned earlier, like, GCP has something called cloud logging, which basically logs your entire action which you perform in Google Cloud. But if we are brute forcing the specific endpoint called testIAMPermission, nothing will be logged. Like, literally, there will be zero traces in Google Cloud. For some reason, GCP does not log any request made to the specific endpoint. So that's like all good for us, right? We can abuse the whole thing. Um, how By the way, like, I have also made a tool called GCP IAM Brute, so we don't have to go and create a whole word list, write a curl command and try to brute force it, right? That's kind of lame. I have a tool called GCP IAM Brute. uh, Go and Google it or check it on GitHub. I will make sure to provide this whole slideshow, and there will be links for it. So yeah, man, I mean, enough about the whole theory. I'm more like a practical guy, so let's jump into the whole practical thing, right? Alrighty, so welcome to the whole, like, practical demo, right? Over here, we'll talk about how we can abuse it. So what we're gonna do is, I will showcase a project from Google Cloud. For that, you need a GCP account, and for the second lab, which will be which will be something you guys have to do it on your own, which will be a lab or a scenario from a company called Pool Labs. I work over there and I have made that lab, so you will go and try to solve that lab on your own, which is basically I am brute forcing in Google Cloud, right? So yeah, man, let's jump in. Alrighty, everyone. So for the last lab, which is for the attack section, what we will do is we will use a lab from Poon Lab, which I have created. If you don't want to do it this way, what you can do is you can go and create a service account on your own GCP, and you can test it from there. But over here, it's more like a learning part which I made. If you want to check this out, you can head over to, like, poonlabs.io and search for the specific name, right? So yeah, let's jump in, right? So this is the third section where I will cover the practical part related to brute forcing, right? So let me scroll down. So this is the API endpoint which I was talking about. Let me open a text editor. So this is the test IAMPermission endpoint which I was talking, right? So basically, like, we will make a call request, right, to this specific endpoint, and this specific part gets the project value, right? And we have a parameter called permission, and over here I have manually entered this permission called resource manager project get and artifact registry repository get, right? So if you want, let's say, like, over here, basically on the specific parameter, which is permission, sorry, it's permission parameter. Over here you have to basically enter the specific permission which you want to validate, right? But it will take us ages because GCP has a lot of permissions, by the way, right? So we can try to automate some part, right? But again, it will be crazy, right? So I have made a bash script over here. Let me just copy and show you guys real quick. um Alrighty, so over here, like it's a variable which called access token, project ID and account email. We can ignore this for now. Let's see this part. So over here, like what we can do is we can automate this whole like part for permission. So basically, I have created again. It will take a lot of hard work, right? It will be a lot of hard work for us. But over here we can create a list and it has all sorts of permissions, right? And we will pass this specific variable over here which will literally like iterate every time and validate whether we have the permission or not. But again, it will be quite complicated, right? So what I did over here, like I created a tool called GCP IAM root, and it basically has entire roles or permissions in Google Cloud, like in the specific directory. It's pretty massive, by the way, right? We can open any one. Let's hope my browser does not. Let's hope my PC doesn't crash. Yeah, so basically, like there's like a directory called roles, and over here I have JSON file with all permissions, with all sorts of permission in Google Cloud, right? And this is one of the permission. So basically, what this tool does is basically like if you have like any experience with like web hacking, there's something called fuzzing, right? It will literally do something similar to it. It will basically take the roles, take the permissions from the role directory, and it will put it here, right? Um, so yeah, like this is it. Now what I will do is I will do a small practical scene. It's a practical demo of it, right? So let's do this. I will copy the project ID and I will head over to my terminal. Just a minute. Alrighty, let me share my screen for terminal now. Okay. Alright, I hope you guys are able to see my terminal now. So now I will create one file which will be key file.json. I will create a key file over here. Now I will authenticate to Google Cloud, gcloud auth active activate service service account dash key file equals to key file dot json. Huh. Okay, so I messed up a little bit. Should be this way. Okay, so we have like successfully like authenticated to this specific service account. Now what our goal is, we have to first IAM permissions, right? So what I would do is I will just simply get this like normal curl command, right? So curl uh post request will make a post request, right? So let's hit enter. This is the manual way, right? So let's see. Okay, seems like this did not work. Okay, so maybe we don't have the permission. Let me try printing out this. Okay, now let's see what happens. I mean, technically we should have got this specific permission to be valid, but for some reason it's not working right now. Let's see. um Maybe there's some problem with this specific part. Let's debug. Okay, yeah, there's a problem, mates. um Over here this should be replaced with grproj1 and it's not happening. That's why we are getting an error. So let's replace it. Let's see, Gia Raj one. Oh, I made a mistake. It should be Gia Proj one. Sorry for the mistake, guys. Yeah, Proj one. Okay, so it worked, right? So basically, like, we have this specific endpoint called Cloud Resource Manager Google API. Over here, we specify the project name, and we use a specific function called testIAMPermission, and we basically pass whatever permission we want to validate to this specific um, variable or permission um, over here, right? I forgot the correct term for it, sorry. Alrighty, so now we will go with something called semi-automated way, right? Which is again a bash script, nano enum enum.sh, right? So basically it's quite similar. The only difference is that we have a variable called permission with the specific, more like a list, right? With different permissions in it, right? And we'll basically like iterate through it. But I believe we can skip this one for now. Let's jump into GCP IAM root directly. GCP IAM root. Now, let's see. Okay, so over here I have to cd again. Python 3. There should be a file called main.py, right? Now over here we have to specify three things, which is access token, project ID, and service account email. So let's do that. So how I can do it? Gcloud auth print auth print token, I believe. Print access token. Well, well, this is bad. Okay, so I can print the access token, but we also need few more things, which is gcloud. Let's get the service account email. Gcloud auth list. Now I will grep through it. Grep I gia proj 1. So we got this so this is the user which we are supposed to attack, right? So let's run the Python script once again, and let's see what we need over here. So over here we will start with the access token, and we will provide the access token real quick. Then we will provide project ID, right? And it will be project ID, if I can type it. Wow. Which is proj 1. Then I will provide the service account email. Let's put the email over here, and yeah, we just need to wait. So basically it's the whole like script is quite simple. I have already shown the source code of it. It's basically a fancy way to fuzz the whole IAMPermission in GCP, right? So we probably have to wait for some time, right? Now what I will do is I will go ahead and create one more service account in my personal Google Cloud, right? I just need to show you something. So let me just go and create an account real quick. In the meantime, let's wait for this tool to complete the fuzzing part for us. Alrighty, so the tool was able to detect a lot of permissions over here. We can see permissions to like push artifact and get the Docker image from artifact registry. We can list containers inside it. Yeah, this is a lot of permissions, right? So basically I hope you get the whole deal, right? Which is it will basically fuzz for permissions in Google Cloud by abusing the whole test IAM permission thingy. Now, what I would do is I will create one more service account in my GCP. Alrighty, so let's do this. Cd temp copy downloads logging. Just a minute. Logging ETF. Let's copy over here. Now we will authenticate to this, like, to my Google Cloud, G Cloud auth acti. Oh god, I can't type, man. Auth activate service account dash dash G dash file and logging CTF. I will just copy it, and hopefully we should get authenticated to my Google Cloud. Okay, so we are able to authenticate ourselves now. Okay, so by the way, like a small like summary what we did earlier, right? So we started by doing the whole a lab from Poon Labs, right, which was where we learned how we can fuzz our IAM permission by abusing test IAM API. We also got to know sub we also got to know about a tool called GCP IAM Brute, right? Now, uh, over here, what we're gonna do is we will uh, fuzz one more time, but in my Google Cloud, and I just want to show you the whole cloud logging thing. So over here, let me print the auth token gcloud print gcloud auth print service token account token. Wait, service token. I forgot the name, man. Print access token. Alrighty. Now we will go ahead and provide the same detail to GCP IAM root once again. Right now, again cd over here, Python 3 main.py. I will provide the value access token token equals to, right, and the same thing once again, which is project id equals to this, which is logging CTF. Okay, now we will provide the service account email equals to, and the email up here. Oh, email, and it will start the whole brute forcing again. We will wait for a minute, right, and then we will go back to cloud logging to see whether anything is getting recorded in our cloud logs, right? Okay, so it's been a while now. Now what I will do is I will go back to cloud logging. So let me change the window, share. Now we will go back to cloud logging. Cloud logging. Okay, so over here we see one request, which is the service account which I created recently, right? But there's no uh there's no like logs related to our brute forcing, right? Over here we don't see any logs related to the whole brute forcing which we did, which is kind of crazy, right? Nothing appears in cloud logs, which is insane. And I can show you the whole window, my terminal once again. Right over here we can see a lot of brute forcing has happened, right? But nothing, like literally nothing, appears. But nothing appears in Google Cloud Logs. I can even try to like refresh it, right? But over here, we see like nothing appears here. Nothing will appear in Google Cloud Logs, which is insane. Anyways, uh, I just wanna put the whole brief summary what we did. So we started. Yeah, I guess I believe I have said that earlier, but yeah, in this whole video, like we learned how we can brute force IAM permission by abusing test IAM permission API endpoint. We also learned that the whole endpoint is not being logged, so any request made to it will not be logged into Google Cloud. So uh which gives a extreme like leverage to like threat actors to perform all sorts of like IAM brute forcing. Once they gain like initial foothold, they can perform all sort of like IAM enumeration, and there will be no logs, right? And they won't be able to get detected, so which is insane. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I hope you liked it.